The EUS Challenger Series powered by Kaostv. Unfortunately, the German stream has been cancelled, so we'll be sticking to the myRevenge 18 matchup to avoid confusion, as these difficulties have literally just cropped up. But we will now be jumping into Game 1 of the quarterfinals between myRevenge and AT. I am Pulse, and I am joined by Spuddington. Hello, Spuddington.
Hello, Pulse. I am just watching this going underway. Because this is because we are obviously sharing this lobby with another stream, we will be casting Champ Select from the stream itself, so we will be a little bit behind where you would normally expect us to be, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. We have got the bans coming out pretty quick and fast here. Hecarim actually there, Twisted Fate, Zed, Fiddlesticks, Twitch, and Syndra.
Yes, indeed. Fiddlesticks, Twitch, and Syndra, fairly interesting bands. I am not aware of the fact that they've rehosted the lobby. I think this is the first time they're doing it, and all those bands are interesting to say the least. They're basically leaving a ton of really strong picks open, and the Fresh immediately gets locked in, being one of those super strong picks at the moment. Again, Hecarim is fairly interesting. He's strong, but maybe not one of the strongest champions right now, especially with like Elise, with Fresh out there. So, yeah, very interesting to see all these basically top-tier picks coming out in this first game.
Yeah, well, one of the things you can do in Champion Select is to leave out many people, many characters that you really want to, the really, really powerful top-tier characters. If you leave out Thresh, obviously, and only Thresh of those top-tier characters, people are just going to say, right, I'll first pick Thresh. But if you leave Thresh, and then you leave Zyra, and then you leave, J4, Varus, whatever else, then you actually you force them to take one and then give you two. So that could have actually been the intent there. Could also just be specific targeted bans. I mean, there are a few Fiddlesticks junglers out there who do tend to do a really good job with it, and it is obviously one of those highly skilled characters. Getting those ultimates off is incredible. Incredibly powerful in the right circumstances, but he's a very difficult champion to do well on, that is. That would be a different thing. And then obviously Twitch and Syndra are, well, Twitch is fairly common, I feel, isn't it, Pulse?
Yeah, Twitch can be fairly common, but with like the sort of power free at the moment, with Varus, with like Caitlyn and Misfortune, you don't really see Twitch too often when it comes to competitive play. Maybe sometimes when it fits into the composition, but those are definitely like the power free. And just the fact that banning out Twitch, I guess it's sort of more situational, and I think so is Fiddlesticks and Syndra. Like, you can definitely fit those into a composition. But we will have Swazrani picked out along with Renekton, another one of those really strong laners at the moment. And Swazrani is fairly interesting because Swazrani has recently been remade, not banned out for this tournament, and honestly, I haven't seen too much of her. I'm not sure if you have either.
I've seen her a couple of times now, mostly in solo queue, but she seems pretty strong at the moment. Obviously has a lot of CC to put out there, and her ultimate is incredibly strong, and she now has a non-terrible early clear. If you compare Sejuani now to Sejuani pre-rework, her clear is just incomparably better early on, and that makes her a much more resilient jungler. You can't just invade her jungle, can't just destroy her, and she really just ganks well and scales up pretty decently into being that, really hard to kill late game tank. And we have actually now got a full lineup here. We have got that Thresh, J4, Varus, Elise, and Ahri.
Indeed, and myRevenge's lineup is looking very, very strong at the moment, just because of all the picks that have been left open. Elise, one of those super strong junglers at the moment, might even be, however, Jarvan going into the jungle, maybe even top. Those two could definitely switch up because they are very versatile champions. But Fresh also coming up along with Varus is one of the strongest bot lanes at the moment in terms of burst, along with Misfortune as well. It just synergizes extremely well in that respect. Also bringing out the Ahri for that mid lane. They have a very burst-orientated team, and they look strong in the laning phase as well for those team fights when they approach into that mid-game. So at the moment, we do have myRevenge shaping up very nicely with their picks individually, as we potentially have Kha'Zix being locked in for AT.
Yeah, Kha'Zix wouldn't surprise me at all, and obviously he is just an incredibly strong mid laner. But actually, maybe Orianna works well with that team composition. But I will say, I'm not sure I like that against that Ahri matchup, especially when you have that J4 jungler, because Ahri does extremely well at maneuvering around Orianna, makes it extremely difficult post-level 6 for Orianna to really kind of survive in that lane. And obviously J4 is excellent at setting up ganks for her, has very good kind of distance, good gap closing with his flash, then flag and drag, and then cataclysm. He essentially has 3 jumps to get in range. And Orianna obviously short of using flash, has no real escape from that. And that is just an incredibly scary thing to deal with. And yeah, as I say, Ari just maneuvers around Orianna. She can't really... She's so fixated on the ball, if you have multiple dashes like Ari, it becomes very difficult for her to maneuver against that. But anyway, we are probably going to be moving into a quick commercial break relatively shortly. So I think with that, I will leave you for now.
Sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need. And it's you that I wanna need. And I know now we're getting older. The world we built is slipping through our fingers. We're running out of time. But you are the one I've chosen, and I won't lay still, living left behind, imprisoned by this love. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week 3 of the EUS Challenger Series powered by Kaostv. We are currently in the first best of 3 today in this quarterfinals between myRevenge and AT Gaming. Casting this best of 3 will be myself, Pulse, and Spuddington. How's it going, Spuddington?
Pretty decent, but I'm noticing in the background there I don't know if my new microphone, which I have, is going to be detecting this, but you may be able to hear a slight cacophony in the background from the dogs. This is actually kind of what I bought this new microphone, hopefully to prevent, because it does have some kind of directional sensing, but we will be seeing, I'm sure.
I can hear copious amounts of dogs currently in the background. Could be interesting as we go to casting this game, but we will have Ari looking to be aggressive in this mid lane currently with Fail Factory and Caglaro just putting down an aggressive ward in the faces of AT, maybe choosing to pink ward that. Sona does indeed have a pink ward if they choose to put it down, and yeah, indeed will be mopping that one up. Just gotta be careful though, because we will be putting aggressive wards down all over the board, because generally in this level 1 scenario, the teams do like to put those wards down and get as much information as they can about the enemy junglers and the enemy, basically the placement of the enemy team, potentially going for that level 1 team fight.
Yeah, obviously getting those wards down now, and the dogs were just someone came home, so we're very excited. Shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, yeah, getting those wards down is super nice to have. Obviously, because of the way a jungler works, essentially, they are very scripted in a manner. Like there are only a set few jungle paths you can take, and obviously one thing leads to the next. If you start off going blue, obviously you're then probably going to go to those wraith, to that red, maybe to golems. You could, but it'd be unlikely in the early game, because they do quite a lot of damage if you don't have that smite available. So obviously, if you can then see where they are at that given time, you can infer where they've both been and where they're likely to go, and hence where's convenient for them to gank. But very good junglers, people like Bro, because I've seen him around a lot now, just seem to have a knack for just throwing you off, even though you know where they are. They just kind of catch you out anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And right now as top lane, we do have Rarely on that Renekton facing up against a tier 1 player, which will be on Elise. So fairly interesting, because we generally see that Elise in that jungle role brings a lot of early game ganks and a lot of damage into that early game as well. But having that into the top lane means she'll probably be able to face up against Renekton fairly nicely, because Renekton has that strong laning phase, but again, Elise also has a pretty strong laning phase as well. The amount of damage she can output, as well as the amount of poke and all-in capability, makes her a very difficult champion to face up against. And against Renekton might have a difficult time laning against that, but he probably will be able to sustain himself, because he is naturally a very strong laner in that top lane.
Yeah, it's a fairly skilled matchup, as I recall. We saw it actually quite a few times in Insomnia, and actually in bottom now we have got Thresh going in with the Flay. He has put down the Ignite, he has also landed the hook, but the cleanse goes down. Looks like he's just going to be following this up, putting down a bit of damage. Did not yet have the Lantern though, so he couldn't set up Caglaro there for the pull-in gank. He is actually going to go back in again. Flag and drag goes down. Zaichun did face check that a little bit ill-advisedly, perhaps, but he's going to walk out just fine.
Yeah, already seen the aggression coming out from Caglaro in this early game, and as we were talking about in the Champion Select, that they have a very nice early game team, and their picks are very strong inherently. And it would be fairly interesting to see how AT face up against this, because we saw some fairly unconventional bans coming out. That was Twitch being one of them, along with Fiddlesticks as well, so leaving a lot of these top tier picks open, and myRevenge looking to be very strong in terms of those picks.
Yeah, so obviously running, they've pretty much got an entire team of what people might describe as top tier. And I'm just going to be being a little bit quiet now, because we have got Caglaro and Bro here. Caglaro is sitting on a ward, so this could be a gank and a counter gank. Caglaro coming in. It does look like they're going to go for this flash. Charm goes down. We've got the flag and drag. He does actually dodge that with the flash, and the ignite has gone down. We've got Bro coming in. The out of mana Ari is going to bleed down very quickly to Sejuani's damage, and the auto attack's going to take that down. Caglaro getting out with about half health.
Yes, indeed. And meanwhile, top, we have Rarely getting very aggressive on tier 1 player, and actually doing very well against him. At the meanwhile, bottom, we have some more aggression. Flay coming out. Nicely, Duke Death Sentence coming out from Sona right there. But meanwhile, top, we do have Elise kind of feeling the pinch of Renekton's strong laning phase, picking up the Flask right now. Versus Renekton's Rejuvenation Bead and 2 health pots on tier 1 player. Tier 1 player is basically out of mana, out of health, and not in a very good position. Pinger's gone down, maybe looking for an assistance from Jarvan, as he is looking to move up there very shortly. Does still have that red buff, will be ticking down probably after this next gank. So it's basically get this gank down now, or forever hold this peace, but maybe looking for this lane gank, maybe even looking to rate bait rarely out in this top lane, maybe looking for a quick gank, and Caglero will be moving up onto that, but unfortunately, Renekton has just gone ahead and backed off.
Yeah, Kaklaro was actually there seen by some minions just moving forward a little bit. But it looks like at the moment he's really just here to get this lane pushed out, and I assume tier 1 player will be going back shortly, or perhaps not, looking to sustain a little bit there with that skittering frenzy. And it does just look like they're going to just, both men in this lane, just going to shove this out, and presumably will go back now. There we go, tier 1 player looking like he's going to recall here.
Yes, indeed, and top lane just going to go ahead and recall, and Rayleigh's just going to go ahead and freeze the lane, so it could be pretty nasty times for Elise if Rayleigh just decides to just keep that there. He won't be going back himself, so Elise will have the advantage of basically full health, full mana, and being able to go back and picking up some more items, and that currently will be the Ruby Crystal and the Doran Shield, looking really to shape up for this laning phase more than anything. We do have a ping coming down onto Ahri as the Shock Blast comes down as well, coming in from Broto, looking for that going for Johnny, taking a lot down from the turret with that level 5 gank. Meanwhile, bottom we have the Depth Sensors landing onto Zyklon. We do have Toxic looking to follow up as well, just whiffing the piercing arrow, but a lot of aggression coming out all over the board, Spunnington.
Yeah, and that's the power of hitting level 6 ahead of your opponent there. You saw their dupliants had hit level 6, and obviously Ahri, be it without that level 6, does not have any ability to really dodge that shockwave, obviously lacking that flash as well, so that was super nice there, and that will give Ariana the head start she kind of needs in this lane, while Rayleigh just putting a little bit more pressure on that top lane. And I'd just like to draw your attention here, Pulse, to the CS difference in bot lane. I mean, have you seen that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy right now. Varus on 56 CS to 45 currently from Caitlyn, and of course it did just go for a turret, so she did pick up a couple more. But still, you have that poke lane versus that sort of more engaged lane, and the poke lane is kind of losing out here, and definitely when you have that Caitlyn, you expect to have that lane dominance. But Fresh right now, just a strong pick in the sense that he can basically bring more dominance into that bot lane and bring Varus into contention.
Yeah, so it's just... Thresh is still an incredibly strong support right now. I mean, he does everything. He has huge CC, he has, that escape tool, he has the shield, he has great harass, he is all things to all men, and women. But he is just, an incredibly strong support, and obviously, like you say, he just gives you a much greater threat, because if you are being forced away from him because of the threat of him auto-attacking, you're being forced away from your creeps. And if you're being forced away from your creeps, you're then suddenly moving yourself into death sentence lane, sort of range. And then you have the option of either trading. We've actually got Bro in mid, not going to be going for it. Ahri is level 6, but did not have to pop the ult. And as I say, then that just puts you in a very awkward situation, because you kind of either have to trade with the guy who has an on-hit on every single auto-attack, has extra damage, or you risk going into death sentence range, which is really nasty, because obviously that can set up a kill.
Yeah, for sure. So right now we're kind of at a lull in the action, both of the teams looking to be slightly more defensive as everyone just kind of farms it up. So I'd like to have a bit of a discussion about Swissrani, because right now Swissrani's gotten 2 ganks down and currently being the catalyst in getting 2 of those kills in this game, and in fact the only 2 kills in this game. So right now the change to a kit has basically improved her jungle clear from before not being able to clear the jungle at all, and just being killed by the jungle was a horrible thing for Swissrani. But after the remake she's able to clear the jungle, and her ganking ability, she's still retained a lot of that and looking very strong. I'd still say she's more of like a ganking jungler in terms of like Nautilus, like Maokai, more of a supporty jungler and transitioning into that tank role. But what's your thoughts on Swissrani right now?
She seems honestly really very strong at the moment. She has that kind of sustained damage approach, that Amumu style where she'll just stick to you, she'll keep slowing you down, she'll keep doing a little bit of damage, little chunks, little bits. And obviously that flail with that permafrost doing that, and obviously now she has Gap Closer and CC before level 6, and then once she's hit level 6, she has Gap Closer and CC. We've actually got Kaglara going in mid here. We have got the ultimate from Ahri. Ignite goes down, and with the cancel from Bro does miss that charge. It does look like it's a goal. 2 Pliants having to flash out, and both of them now forced to flash out there in that mid lane.
Yeah, but hold that thought, because meanwhile bottom we have another trade coming out. The Crescendo goes down to Fail Factory, looking to get Elvin. Nice piercing arrow, finish that one off as Caitlyn just tries to kite out of here against Toxic, and the ace in the hole will go down, probably going to be blocked by Fail Factory. That was very close, not able to juke that just in time, and dropping very low as meanwhile we do have Robo in a bad position.
Down the bowler. Oh wow, and then we've actually got some damage going down on Ahri on top of it, and Kaglara now getting into a bit of a spot here. Bro just going to be trying to stay alive, and does do so.
Yes, indeed. A lot of action coming all over the map right now, Spuddington, and just basically both of us, as we're just both trying to play the same things, but that's just a consequence of having so much action, and it's really nice to see in this first game of the day between myRevenge and AT, looking very, very strong on both fronts, and it's kind of interesting because we have seen AT with, well, I would personally say slightly weaker picks because of, you know, the strength coming in from Elise and Fail Factory on that Fresh, but at the same time they do have a lot of early game dominance with that Caitlyn and the Sona on top of that, and also with the Renekton on top. Interesting to see that face up against Elise.
Yeah, it's working out really, really well at the moment. Tier 1 player is just suffering quite badly in this lane, while we are seeing Rarely kind of diverging from perhaps a normal Renekton build here. Looks like he's rushing out a Spirit Visage, which is actually a good item on Renekton. I mean, he actually benefits from the healing increase quite significantly, but he's done a lot of harass on Tier 1 player and just walking on out again with that Slicing Dice. And obviously now Tier 1 player is out of mana, which is going to be a major problem for him. But yeah, as I say, Spirit Visage actually really suits Renekton down to the ground because he benefits quite a lot on Kaostv from that healing increase. Gets the cooldown reduction, which also benefits Kaostv and everything else about Renekton because he's so spell-based, so cooldown-based. And obviously, having that magic resist is just quite nice to add on to his bonus health, and just generally being a tanky old croc.
Yes, indeed. And right now, yeah, once again, just seeing the aggression coming out from Rarely. But meanwhile, then we do have Robo looking for that gang, following with the Arctic Assault, and Fail Factory looking quite scared right now as he's forced to flash out. Lantern going down as well, just to kind of keep himself alive. Ari also heading down along with Orianna, who is looking to maybe assist her allies. And basically looking for a pick right now, maybe to move onto this Drake. Jarvan is indeed top. Caglero will be taking over that lane as Tier 1 player will be forced to recall. And we could see AT maybe aggressing onto this Drake.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it at all. They are definitely shoving out that bot lane right now. They don't have a pink ward available though, so it looks like instead they're just going to pressure this bot tower. They know Jarvan is committed at top, so it's pretty much a free tower for them. There's no way you can contest because Bro could dive at any second. He is obviously now very, very tanky. He has that armor built into his kit and is just going to be able to wander on off. And it looks like now they might be going for that dragon. And at the moment, the weak link definitely is top lane. I mean, Elise has been forced out of lane multiple times and has been forcing Caglaro to be committed to saving that top lane, which has just cost them, what, about 2,000, 3,000 global gold?
Yeah, AT looking very dominant at this stage, and we do have the piercing arrow just coming over the wall, maybe looking for that cheeky steal, but not gonna actually come out. We did indeed see some aggression in mid between Ari and Ori, and who both popped their ultimates in an attempt to take each other out, but we did see the Spirit Rush just duking out of the way of that command shockwave, so he was indeed okay, but that did give them some more aggression and more presence over that Drake as they just went for it. So Switchani just taking over that mid lane, and meanwhile bottom we just have basically everyone just returning as the lanes, but still AT looking in a very dominant position. 4K ahead, picking up not only a tower but also a Drake very early on into this game.
Yeah, so that will actually put Caitlyn ahead on gold now from that Varus, but only, oh wait, actually not enough to do that, but because obviously Varus right now is just doing an incredibly good job in this lane. Like, obviously now ahead by 25 CS there, which is more than a kill with him. We actually got, sorry, Tier 1 player going aggressive on top lane here. Rarely has been ignited, does have to flash the stun. He's going to be okay there. So anyway, as I say, Varus doing an incredibly good job, and now they're pushing down that bot tower.
Yeah, we see this tower falling at bot lane, and Caitlyn just not doing very well in this lane independently, but with the rest of the team doing so well, when they get into that sort of teamfight stage, you'll probably be in a much better position. However, Caitlyn does want to be ahead in that early game phase, and she's just not doing too well against that strong Fresh and Varus combination, already taking down that turret. Maybe slightly too late there, because they would have wanted to take down that turret slightly earlier so they could take down that Drake, but we do see the ultimate coming over the wall from Bro, and the repel goes down, just duking out the way of that. Will be actually putting back down into that Cataclysm, immediately dropped by Caglero, as we do see the flash coming in from Tier 1 player, and they will probably be still following after Caglero. In fact, maybe looking for this kill to happen. Flash comes in as we see a kill in mid, flag and drag over the wall, will result in Caglero being A-okay.
Yeah, Duplians there trading off with Fanatics, with Ari. And obviously there, you saw the power of just the ability to juke out Shockwave. She just straight up avoided it with her ultimate, and that just completely turned the fight in her favor. So we did see, meanwhile, Vigility and Zaichin going for that. Ooh, that hook very, very nearly landed. did invade, it looks like that red buff there.
Yeah, very, very close, but that will give Caitlyn a lot more dominance right now. Maybe that's the turning point that they really needed in this lane. That being said, the tower's already gone down, but Varus and Fresh really can't afford to just leave it entirely. Rarely actually getting very aggressive on tier 1 player. Has been popped into the spider form, so we'll be able to repel out of there if necessary, but just dominance all over the board right now for AT, just looking very scary. And in that top lane, tower will be falling, or really maybe just taking the opportunity to feed even more creeps into that top turret, and already 20 CS advantage.
Yeah, he's just so far ahead right now. And you can see he's very confident as well that he knows where, because he knows where J4 is. So he's just completely cleaning that wave out. That tower is going to get taken down by the minions, which is actually kind of a relief from tier 1 players' perspective, because he's now going to be able to, you know, try and clear out what creeps are left after the tower has kind of mauled his gold income there. But still, the gold increase, the gold difference here for AT is fairly significant at this point. You know, it's about 4,000. That's pretty big at this stage of the game. But the question is, who's going to have the better start? Well, who's going to start to have the better team fights, and who's going to have the better map control right now? I've got to say, I do like the combo. Actually, sorry, bottom now we've got Facility getting, Crescendo goes down, we've got the cleanse coming out, Exhaust has gone down after the cleanse, but Facility is going to not get any kills from that. Bro coming in from the side, Zaichin going very, very low. He's going to now have a problem because Bro is going to chase down Fail Factory. He is going to get that kill. Can he get the second one here? He is going to go for it. Stun goes down. Bro going very, very, very low, but so is Nigel. Can't quite get the damage down though.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we do actually have Finality X getting a very aggressive onto Dupliance, and the last charge of that ultimate will go down, not actually chasing up on that, but Ori looking quite scared in this situation as these creeps get fed into her turret. And once again, aggression going all over the board, but you can only feel that myRevenge actually coming back into this as Dupliance dropped very, very low and is indeed forced to recall.
Yeah, so, as I say, I really do like that teamfight composition that AT have. But it does seem like at the moment, that myRevenge is just kind of taking control on different parts of the map. They're kind of abusing how mobile their team is at the moment. Obviously, taking towers across the place, and obviously Ari showing herself very strongly against Orianna. And I don't think we've yet seen a 5-on-5, and I don't know when the next dragon will be coming up to force it, but it looks like Rarely just intends to keep shoving in this top lane, possibly to his cost.
Yes, indeed, we do have Jarvan just rotating around that corner. Kaglora just missing the Golden Aegis as he looks to chase over after with that Flag and Drag going down. Ignite goes out as well, rarely popping the Dominus as he starts trading up with tier 1 player and actually forced to back off. Still got the repel up if he wants to chase after, and will be jumping after once again, but rarely popping him down. 1-for-0 trade so far. Can Kaglora actually claim a kill, making this worthwhile, but rarely actually forcing him to back off, because I think he probably would have out-traded him. As Rayleigh actually looks to pick up another kill with the slice coming in and the dice looking to follow up with the rest of his skills. One more auto tackle, maybe two. Will finish off Caglero. One more. And Rayleigh will be forced to back off with the Flag and Drag going down.
Yes, so very, very close there. And Brober getting charmed there in mid, but yes, so very close. They nearly were able to bring down Rarely, but he just kept sustaining his way up. They couldn't quite bring him down fast enough to stop him getting his health back with that Q. And obviously at the end there, you saw Caglaro locking Elise in with Rarely, which may not have been the best decision in hindsight, because he was just putting out so much AoE magic damage, putting out so much AoE physical damage. But meanwhile, Brober gonna take that Dragon down. Fnatic's going quite risky there, but does get lanterned out.
Yeah, and that's just another advantage taken from AT. 2-2 towers though. We do have myRevenge kind of just keeping and standing up against AT fairly strong. However, 2 Drakes gone to AT, so they are stronger in the gold advantage, and they are slightly behind in some of those lanes. That being said, Ori doing decently well against Orianna, is ahead in those kills and ahead in CS, along with Renekton, who's basically a raid boss at this point, taking that top lane in a 2v1 scenario. Yeah,
I mean, he was just so dominant at the moment. With that dominance, you might say, it's just nearly impossible for them to kill, because Jarvan as a jungler has quite a lot of damage inbuilt into his kit, but he's not really going to be able to build any extra damage. So obviously, if his burst isn't enough, and because Renekton is so far ahead, and it just isn't enough, and obviously he has that healing increase, the longer the fight goes on, the better he does. We've actually got a fight going down at bottom. Sona just getting caught out by that death sentence, I believe, and then getting the box, getting the full flay, getting the damage out from Varus, and Tier 1 player putting down a bit of harass up top. He's still not really completely cowed, though, I will say, by Rarely. He is not constantly forced out of lane. It is not the situation that you sometimes get where Renekton just keeps pushing down the top lane and never leaves it alone, and we've got potentially a fight here. Rarely is going to get caught out by the flag and drag. We have got that follow-up now. Dominus has been popped. He is going to go very, very low, though. It's getting bursted quite hard, but they haven't got the damage to quite finish him off. Shockwave gets double flash out of, and we've now got the follow-up. We've got Ari looking to get away from Brobro. Brobro putting down quite a lot of damage. Tier 1 player actually does manage to pick up the Renekton kill, which is quite important. fnatic is now going to put down some damage, but is it going to be enough to take out Brobro? Can he even take out Duplians? No. He's just going to flash over the wall instead, and that is a 3-for-1, although they did kill Raid Boss Renekton.
Yes, indeed. Varus actually dropping there as well. Maybe Dupliant's dropping, but we do have the auto attack actually just finishing off from the flash from Dupliant, and that will actually bring it to a 4-on-1 trade. And Brewer picking up that red buff as well. And I was going to say that maybe it could have been worse if they didn't pull off a fantastic flash up that shockwave. That's probably the worst it could have gone anyway.
Yeah, honestly, because now they've used the flashes as well, so the next shockwave is going to hit. So that's going to be very, very difficult for them to deal with, and obviously that's cost them another tower now in that mid lane. Dupliant's going to be backing out, and it's not looking good for myRevenge, basically. They are on almost all fronts at the moment kind of being hemmed in. Varus is still doing extremely well, though, and that is kind of their saving grace right now. He has, Blade of the Ruin King, building out that Infinity Edge as well. He's going to be scary very soon. Once he can finish that Infinity Edge, and at the moment I think he's kind of in that I'm just going to close my eyes and farm stage of AD carry, where your team isn't doing so well, and you're just like, I just hope you guys can hold on. I'm going to farm till I get 2 items at least, because then I'll be a really relevant damage threat. He's kind of in that stage at the moment. Once he's got that Infinity Edge, he can start really looking to group up for these fights, at which point he will have the damage really to shred down that raid boss Renekton.
Yeah, for sure. He is definitely doing well, and that is definitely the saving grace. But at the same time, the entire team looking very, very dominant as these aggressive wards go down. Very indicative of the fact that AT want to get very aggressive and maybe looking for these small skirmishes and maybe team fights. Since the last skirmish at top went so well for them, they could definitely start basically just aggressing all over the board. Renekton may inevitably fall off into that late game, but right now he's incredibly strong, and he can just carry on affording, can afford to keep on pushing that top lane and force Jarvan to go there into that 2v1 scenario. Then you've got bot lane AT putting 3 members down there, and basically it's just myRevenge having to react to them on all fronts. And we do potentially have Varus being caught out here with the ultimate going down. Will just whip. Fail Factory coming in as well, and just collapsing onto Sona. The flash comes down into Crescendo. Robo actually still on the front line. Finality X now coming in with the Spirit Rush looking to follow up as well. 2 charges go down. Actually catches Bro in that charm, but he's just way too chunky at this stage. And meanwhile, top, we do have a Repel coming down onto Rarely as he just stuns her underneath the turret. And Tier 1 player now in a bad position with Repel already down. Renekton still chasing after with that Slice and Dice. Finally after call for the Meek. Do have the Cocoon coming down, potentially just keeping him away. But that minion also following after as well. Tier 1 player maybe in a safe spot as this chase continues with the Slice and Dice coming in. Once again, call the Meek and looking for this last auto attack to finish off Elise. Turns it around just for the Cocoon. But that's not enough as he does eventually land Ruthless Predator.
Yeah, I have to say that. Oh, we've actually got getting dodged by Brobo there just at the last second on that bottom tower. Looks like they're going to take that tower out for free, and Dupliant's putting down a lot of damage. Does actually then flash Fail Factory out. So we have such pressure now coming in from AT all over the map, and they are just not letting up. They are never letting these full fights come out. It's always Rarely shoving in that top lane. And that was actually interesting from Elise, because she was the one getting aggressive there. She was actually starting to push Rarely back, but got too eager, went under his tower, and now has put herself further behind and will obviously delay that point where she is actually able to duel him on equal terms again. So that was very, very costly. And I kind of wonder, in that little bit of a chase at the end there, whether Elise could have taken advantage of that stray minion. Because if she repelled at the same time that Slice and Dice had come down and jumped to the minion, she would have kind of swapped their position. I wonder if she'd been able to actually put some distance between them that way.
Yeah, for sure. At the same time, though, I originally thought it was a spiderling, so I was just like, well, wait, that's a very odd-looking spiderling. So maybe even Elise thought the same. But in that pressure situation, I don't think anyone can really blame Elise for maybe slipping up. But I definitely agree with you. Repel could have been actually used to very great effect in just jumping to that minion. And maybe in hindsight, in hindsight 2020, she might have been able to do that. But we do, in fact, have AT looking to line up with this Drake. Volatile Spiderling goes out for a harass vision as well, but only really scratches Bro. So very tanky at this stage. And they are just kind of shaping up with this Drake dance. But you can only really feel the AT in a very good position with such a strong front line. And Bro looking to open this one up as well. The Orb of Deception landing as well, and the Permafrost goes down. Death Sentence will actually land onto Rally, maybe not the greatest person to initiate onto, but they are just looking for a Fable initiate from both teams. AT really just need to wait here and let themselves be initiated on because they are so strong. And even the poke isn't doing too much as the Slice and Dice goes in, and just not quite able to land on anyone with that stun. But Relly is leading a charge with Bro as well. He does have the ultimate, will land into the crescendo as well. The AoE Wombo coming in. Caglera looking to back up with that back line. The Death Sentence goes in, also given to assistance as the box comes in as well. Toxic just trying to kite down Relly in the background as Bro comes in and sweeps up the rest of the mess. 3-for-3 trade so far with Finality X also backing off. And indeed, we did see Relly actually dropping, but now we have Varus in a very, very bad position as Dupline chases after into the brush. He doesn't know his position so far. Ball goes down, and this could be both of them meeting each other. In the fact, the command attack will just picking up to the side, completely blind.
Didn't even see it. It's just like when you're walking down the street, and a random ball comes down on a pendulum, smacking you in the back of the head. But yeah, that was an interesting fight though, because considering how far AT are ahead on the whole, they came out surprisingly poorly. I mean, that was nearly a 3-for-3. It was in the end a 3-for-4, but they aren't going to be too upset about that. No real objectives lost either side actually, but that dragon is still up as well, in fact. So I wouldn't be surprised to see people converging there pretty quickly now. Bro is committed at the top though. But, as I say, it was an interesting fight in that I think Varus was left to put out quite a lot of DPS, and also Ahri put out a lot of damage and actually was able to delete Sona very early on into that fight. Did obviously prevent her from having that kind of invisible influence on a fight where her auras are putting out a lot of free stats across the entire team. And I'm interested to see if Thresh is able to get away from this. Really looking very aggressive here. Looks like they're just going to clear out that ward.
Yeah, and we could also see another team fight opening up in the same way that we did last time. The good news for myRevenge is that team fight was a lot more even than you might expect it to because the positioning was so good for them. Also, the Jarvan ultimate locking out that back line. We do have the harass going down, and Bro popping over the walls while he still has his ultimate, maybe looking to get this onto the back line, onto those carries, as we have Rarely looking to get aggressive as well. Pearl Factory pushing them back, and Ari and Varus can't quite get in there, but Kaklo is completely separated from the team, will immediately be completely chunked down as the tier 1 player also is forced to repel back into that 5-man strong team of AT. Flash coming out from Ari as she tries to get out of there. But that was a 2-for-0 trade, perfect basically from AT, and he may even look for this Baron.
It does look like they're going to be going for that pretty much immediately. I wouldn't be surprised to see if this was just allowed to happen, to be honest, because they're now very, very good at taking it. They have very, very tanky, they have good healing, they have good shield. So obviously they're not going to take much damage from the Baron, and in turn, that makes it very, very difficult to then take advantage of the damage that they've taken to then interrupt them. So that's going to give them an incredibly big advantage. They are going to have that buff. They are going to be so hard to push around in a fight, and they were already so far ahead. It's now a question of can myRevenge catch someone out? And Fail Factory here is in a bit of a tight spot. He is being chased down by a red buff Caitlyn. The red buff has landed. The Death Sentence goes down. Looks like they're just going to try and take out Caitlyn with them. Facility is going to go very, very low and does get taken out by the Piercing Arrow Care. Fail Factory now is in a bit of a spot. Fanatics is there as well for some reason. God knows why. And Fanatics is going to get taken out. Fail Factory now being chased down by Bro, and that is another 3 kills.
That was a 3-for-1 trade, and you could really see what they were going for there, maybe hoping that Caitlyn wasn't backed up by the rest of the team, which inevitably was what happened. They did manage to take down Caitlyn, but at the cost of 3 players. And they're trying to make these plays happen. They're trying to get a pick when they have basically the strength of AT, where they have that Baron. They're ahead in gold by 10k at the moment. They know they're ahead. They need to make some sort of play happen. Unfortunately, these plays that they're trying to bring out all backfiring in their faces. And myRevenge just in a very horrible position where they basically just have to sit in their base and get just sieged in by AT. They are trying to be proactive and they are trying to get picks and bring themselves back into this game, but it's just kind of not working out for them. That being said, Kaostv picks up top turret. Or, in fact, he won't be because he gets doted.
It wasn't too much of a doter.
It wasn't too doter.
His wave was delayed, I think, by the opposing wave. But yeah, that's actually a very good. That's a sign of somebody who has a good kind of view of what's going on in the battlefield, and I'm keeping an eye on bot here. Bro could get caught out here. Chain of Corruption is available in like 2 seconds, but it's not available in time, and it looks like he's just going to get the farm at bot. But it's the sign of someone with a kind of very clear view of the battlefield, that even though he's so behind and so scared of actually fighting anyone, he's still able to put himself out there, put himself quite a long way out with very little vision, and actually just take that top tower out. And it does look like Bro might be looking to initiate this. Ooh, Kaostv is standing in a trap. It just looks like it's going to turn into a poke fest.
Yeah, and they have basically the perfect AD carry if they want to do that. Rayleigh does actually get caught by that chop, but he's so tanky. Death Sense just barely whiffing, but at the same time, even if they've landed it onto him, they might have not even wanted to initiate on that. With Bro over the wall, ready to slam that ultimate into that back line with the rest of the team, and then Arctic assaulting in. Bro just around the corner. They really want maybe for this tower dive to happen. Just poking down the turret. From myRevenge's perspective, they must be wondering where Squizrani is. They must know that a potential attack is coming in, with the ultimate coming in, landing onto 3 players. Crescendo goes down as well, and it's just again the AoE wombo combo, 2 for 0 trade so far as they chase them down into that inhibitor turret. Rarely on that front line, but taking absolutely no damage at all. And now with a minion wave coming in, that's 1 turret, and basically inevitably the inhibitor as well, putting AT in a very strong position. But there's the surrender bug coming out from myRevenge, with AT picking up the first game of this series.
Yeah, and it was really nicely played by AT, but I have to say, I feel like the biggest weakness in that comp there from myRevenge was the Elise pickup. Putting her in that top lane against Renekton just did not work out, and you saw it early on that, you know, that dragon and that tower were taken in that bot lane. That he was constantly being forced back, and he just never really got to a point where he was relevant in team fights either. So honestly, I mean, there were a couple of picks there that I think could have been better than Elise. Although obviously picking Elise does give you that kind of, is she going jungle, is she going top, is she going mid aspect, is she going support? But yeah, obviously did not work out in the end, putting it top lane against Renekton.
Yeah, I think kind of like a classic example of, even though you have the best picks in the world, it may not result in you winning the game. And it was just AT picking up an early game advantage and just snowballing it really well. But anyway, guys, that was the first game of the best of 3 today, and we will be jumping into the next game very shortly. But until then, we will see you after a short break.
Was